We share a vision of cities for all, referring to the equal use and enjoyment of cities and human settlements, seeking to promote inclusivity and ensure that all inhabitants of present and future generations, without discrimination of any kind, are able to inhabit and produce just, safe, healthy, accessible, affordable, resilient, and sustainable cities and human settlements to foster prosperity and quality of life for all. United Nations, the New Urban Agenda. Livable Cities for a Sustainable Future. A short documentary on child obesity in India and the 23rd ASEF Summer University, which took place from September to November 2021. What do we know about the global problem of child obesity? Child obesity is a growing concern worldwide, both in developed and developing countries. According to the World Health Organization, 38.2 million children below the age of 5 years old were obese or overweight in 2020. Child obesity can have serious consequences for children's physical and mental health. India has the highest number of obese children in the world after China. Between 4 to 10% of children going to school suffer from obesity or overweight, and 1 in 2 children do not have a healthy body mass index. The rate of overweight children has increased from 1.9% in 2005-06 to 8.7% in 2015-16 in Delhi. There will be 17 million obese children by 2025, leading to an increase of non-communicable and cardiovascular diseases in children. Type 2 diabetes is already becoming more common in children as young as 12 years old. But what causes child obesity? Child obesity is linked to unhealthy diets and a lack of physical activity, and various and complex factors related to the children's environment. In India, children from wealthier families have a higher prevalence of obesity and overweight. This is influenced by the prevailing misconception that overweight children are healthy. In the context of the ASEF Summer University program, what role does the city environment play here? There is a higher prevalence of child obesity in cities. Children in Delhi are 5 times more likely to be obese or overweight than children in rural areas. The infrastructure of a city has a strong influence on access to healthy food and open space, affecting how people eat and move. So how can this challenge be solved? We need a holistic approach to tackle child obesity. Healthy diets and physical activity, behavioral changes among children's parents and caregivers, child-friendly cities with open spaces, parks, and safe neighborhoods, to promote good health and well-being and build sustainable cities and communities. Within this framework of possible solutions, how can the youth be engaged? The 23rd ASEF Summer University on Livable Cities for a Sustainable Future was an international hackathon for young Asians and Europeans to tackle urban challenges in Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. Over 80 young professionals and students from 39 Asian and European countries were selected to discuss and develop digital solutions that could drive sustainable development in cities. The hackathon was embedded in a 3-month-long interdisciplinary program that included leadership and design thinking trainings, webinars, and online collaborations for participants. The Hackathon Challenge for India focused on creating healthy cities, tackling child obesity in India. How did the ASEFSU23 come about, and what were the objectives? Freya Chow Paul, one of ASEF's project coordinators, shares some background on the project.
So, the ASEF Summer University is a long-standing program in ASEF's education department. We have always placed a great emphasis on experiential, intercultural, and interdisciplinary learning opportunities that have a strong connection to the local communities and create impact. And every Summer University edition focuses on a different theme that is linked to the Sustainable Development Goals, and that has a specific relevance to the hosting countries. So with the 23rd edition in Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, we identified sustainable urbanization as a key common concern. Now, more than 55% of the world's population live in urban areas today, and Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan have some of the fastest growing cities worldwide. And of course, rapid urbanization brings along various socioeconomic and environmental challenges for policymakers, urban planners, and of course, urban citizens. These are challenges such as urban sprawl, higher urban costs of living, rising inequality and poverty, weak infrastructure, and increased environmental degradation, just to name a few of the problems. And these challenges really call for innovative solutions. And this is exactly what we aim with our Summer University program, to bring together young people to collaborate and innovate for the future. Actually, originally, we planned a cross-country physical project and hackathon with stopovers in Lahore in Pakistan, Delhi in India, and then Dhaka in Bangladesh. But due to the outbreak of the pandemic, we did have to move all activities online. But nonetheless, I really feel like we've been successful in our goals and have still been able to create a space for young people to create meaningful impact in their societies.
The ASEF Summer University was a collaboration of 7 organizations across Asia and Europe: universities, research institutions, NGOs, and think tanks. Kala Anand, then Director for Communications, Partnerships and Career Services at Kriya University, explains why her university joined the partnership consortium.
At Kriya, we look at partnerships quite collaboratively. We look at partnerships built on a very strong framework, a framework of 4 pillars, as I call the 4 pillars being competency, curriculum, community, as well as careers. So we look at partnerships that kind of impact the university across these 4 pillars, and what we can do with partners that helps enhance the competency of our students or teaching faculty, that enhances curriculum, that offers better career opportunities. And the 4th important pillar, that probably where and why we are here today, is the partnership around community. What can we do together with partners to impact a well-being community, also build global human capital?
Projects like this ASEF Summer University not only foster multi-stakeholder partnerships and local community engagement to contribute to the achievement of the SDGs. Julia Berger, who's resident representative at the Jakarta office of the Hans Seidel Foundation, a key project partner, emphasizes its role to strengthen civic engagement and democratic participation.
Actually, the ASEF Summer University is quite a brilliant project because on the one hand, it's focusing on young people and on participation of young people. And I think that's a focus which we often still do not take enough into consideration in our projects. Young people often have very innovative ideas and solutions to existing problems and very unique perspectives which, let's say, decision makers do not necessarily have. So one of core value of democracy is participation, and active democracy requires participation and Democrats. So that is why, by definition, this would be a project which is like very close to our heart, if I may say so.
The Summer University program stretched over 3 months and culminated in a 10-day-long virtual hackathon. 12 teams competed in 3 categories and developed digital solutions to urban challenges. Raghuram Krishnaswamy, software development engineer at Amazon India, supported the project as technical hackathon coordinator for India. Vihang Jumle, a graduate student at the Hertie School of Governance in Berlin, led one hackathon team. Both share their experiences during the hackathon and why they found it unique.
When I was a student at IITG, I did participate in a lot of hackathons. Those were different kind of hackathons. They were more like the idea was not critical there. It was more about a technical hackathon where the coding and implementation was given a lot more value. The best places I would like to work and collaborate with are places where I feel like I can contribute some good value. At the same time, I can also learn a lot. So it doesn't feel like it's a win-win for everyone, right? So that's how it felt like. That's how I felt ASEF hackathon was going to be.
Well, hackathons are really fun events to be in, and generally they happen on site over a couple of days, at max 3 days. But this was being arranged in a very different format with, of course, training for the leaders, then a separate knowledge building phase, and then an elaborate sort of a part-time hackathon to say over a period of 10 days. So this was sort of a comprehensive package to actually get back to problem solving, and especially that went well with my studies that I recently started. So this felt like a good opportunity to also get back into the issues and explore this online version of hackathons and see how viable they are as even program. And because ASEF is already quite an esteemed organization and they have a really strong support base, I was really confident that if at all I win or anyone wins from the competition, it will be implemented, so it will be worth it being part of this. And in a leadership position, because I've always been a participant, I've also been on the arrangement sides of hackathons and similar leadership building programs. But to lead a team was a new experience. I thought I should apply for a leadership position this time. And I'm also an ASEF alumni, so it was a while that I had not participated in something of them on one of their programs. So I thought everything seems perfect at this time.
Prior to the 10-day virtual hackathon, participants joined an intensive knowledge-building phase with webinars and collaborative tasks on the SDGs and the respective country challenges. 3 health experts who joined the Summer University as either speakers or judges of the hackathon solutions share their research and observations on the topic of child obesity in India and globally.
Childhood obesity is a big problem, and it is an emerging problem. We are already seeing, especially in urban areas, children who are overweight, and because of the change in lifestyle, because of the change in the way now urban life has become, they have much less opportunities to undertake the kind of activities that were pretty common 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Secondly, there has been a significant change in food habits. People consume packaged foods much more. There is more sedentary lifestyle because of the availability of televisions, computers, so people spend more time on the screens. So I think all of this has contributed to growth in childhood obesity. And as we know, childhood obesity is the forerunner of development of multiple chronic diseases later in life. Therefore, it is important that we address this at the root, which is when the obesity is developing, or if the obesity has started to develop, to reverse it as soon as we can.
My scientific work has all been in the area of interventions which will help a community or a school or a work site, like across settings. So basically help the public to help prevent the disease. Now, over time, we know that diabetes, especially if you have a family history, and prevention is very, very it's very tacky because it involves a lot of lifestyle change, a lot of behavior change. So it's very important that these are sustainable changes. So what we say is, even if not prevention all your life, at least we are delaying the onset of that disease, which is very, very important, because earlier it comes in. It's a very silent disease, diabetes, and the new estimates actually have just come out of International Diabetes Federation, and it says almost 1 in 5 adults who have diabetes live in low middle income countries. So India and China are the topmost with respect to number of people with diabetes.
For us, it's more about trying to ensure that play or physical education is a fundamental part of a child's learning journey or development journey. In fact, I shared this on the hackathon as well, that it's a gentleman by name Howard Gardner, who actually presented a very interesting study where he speaks about theory of multiple intelligences, where, normally in schools there is focus on numerical learning or, vocabulary. So he introduced this concept of kinesthetic learning, which is about movement, sport, etc., and why that is equally important, and that's one of the intelligences that needs to be developed in children.
12 hackathon teams, each consisting of between 6 to 9 members, collaborated across 39 different countries and 13 time zones. Apart from technical difficulties, language barriers, and time zone differences, Professor Vivekanand Jha identifies another key challenge for this intercultural and cross-country hackathon.
We live now in a global environment, and information is just a click away. Connecting with a colleague halfway across the world takes just seconds. The biggest challenges really are only the time zones as to when one is awake and when the other person is not. But all of the boundaries that used to exist even 10 years ago are going away now, and we are in a relatively flat world which is heavily interconnected. Communication methodology is becoming more and more efficient, so there is no reason for one to be constrained. Having said that, we have to also realize that any solution that is developed will need to be implemented in a local context. So collaborators from the north also need to understand the limitations that might exist in some locations in the global south. And the solutions that might have been developed and are working very well in the global north may not work as well in one of the countries of the global south if they are transplanted as they are. So the need to collaborate, the need to be culturally sensitive, listen to the experience and to the suggestions of the actual individuals who are most familiar with the local circumstances is critical.
12 mentors, representatives from academia, NGOs, social entrepreneurs, and policy consultants, provided guidance to the hackathon teams. Kshitij Amodekar, Associate Director for Design and Sustainability at Kriya University, and Kala Anand speak about the relevance of integrating non-formal education formats, informal education, and the importance of gaining practical skills.
But what youngsters need to understand is the main difference between conventional thinking and, let's say, out-of-the-box thinking is very simple. For years, we've been telling students to read, correct? To learn, correct? To write well, right? To speak better and all these things. But we've never taught students to listen better. That is the key difference between liberalized education and conventional education. We have to teach students to listen better, and that's a skill that will only come by practice.
True education is one that equips the human mind to develop solutions to problems. Non-formal projects like what the ASEF Summer University does are quite important because, as I said, they are unconstrained by structures. There is no framework or constraints like formal education places. There's no bureaucracy, there's no levels. It's really where you have ideas are free flowing, young minds from diverse backgrounds can come together, right? And they ideate with a lot of ease. So some of the most competent solutions are probably born out of the creativity and the unconstrained ambience as well, that you don't want to be constrained by a certain situation. And there could be a possibility that formal education systems like universities may only allow for that much of creativity and imagination to execute. The non-formal, as we call, or the ASEF Summer University kind of platforms, allow for an ease of collaboration outside those structures. And I think that is really important. It also allows, I think, for this particular idea itself, allows not just from diverse cultural backgrounds, but academic backgrounds, work backgrounds, national backgrounds, to kind of come together and look at one issue from a global perspective.
At the end of the 3-month-long learning and collaboration journey, the 12 hackathon teams pitched their solutions at a closing event. 4 teams competed per country challenge and presented their ideas to a panel of judges, representatives from the government, business, and academia in India. The winning team for the India Challenge developed an app to promote children's outdoor playing, which is on its way to market implementation. So what were the key takeaways from the 23rd ASEF Summer University?
It's been a very inspiring journey. The very ambition to put together something that pans across so many countries, to have the courage to execute that ambition, and eventually, create this inspiring narrative that brings along people from across many countries. And I think that whole thing has been quite eye-opening and inspiring for me, right from the time that you dream an ambitious project, execute it, as well as take people along with you through this journey.
Overall experience was really exciting, I have to say. As a judge, I was able to sit through not just the India presentations, but also presentations from neighboring countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan. And what really this confirms is that youth is on the move throughout South Asia. And the ideas that all of these groups had were innovative, and some of them really left one astounded also at the kind of innovativeness that they proposed.
I mean, there's so many things that are that make the hackathon so special, but if I have to choose or kind of convey a few of them, is that I really liked how the entire program was very engaging and inclusive of each and everyone's background. So we didn't really feel that anyone was from a different country, but we were all from one world, and we tried to solve one issue. So even though it was in the context of Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India, I mean, each and everyone could relate to one or the other problems in their city or in their hometown that they could take away and they could relate to. So I believe the problem statement itself are quite, I would say, in the sense that everyone could relate to it. And I really liked how the program itself was so engaging that we were able to interact with each and everyone, learn about their background. So I think we had these breakout room sessions wherein we would just brainstorm about problems and solutions. And it was quite engaging, and it was quite, I would say, an eye-opener to see how different people perceive the problem differently, and there is also not one right solution. In my opinion, there is not one right solution to a problem, but it's rather like a combination of few, or I would say, no, we cannot just solve the entire root problem from its ground, but we can hope to actually make a difference.